All right, so the next video we're going to create is for the landscaping. We're going to take our entire, let's see here. We're going to do the landscaping of our two-story house. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my terrain. If you haven't created your terrain, the way that you do it is you click on the terrain pull-down menu and you click on create terrain perimeter. Now what I did was when I created my terrain, I clicked on the edge and I created a 150 foot by 150 foot terrain. So it's a piece of property. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece of property, click on it, grab the middle handle, and I'm going to drag it towards the middle of the house so that the house is centered right in the middle of the terrain, right in the middle of the property. Okay. Then I'm going to get rid of all of the measurements that are on the outside. If you have measurements on the outside, you may want to get rid of them as well. To do that, you go to the the tools pull down menu, go down to layer settings, across to display options. You're going to go down to find dimensions. There's dimensions, and I'm going to uncheck mark under display. I'm going to get rid of the automatic dimensions because those were exterior automatic dimensions. Click OK, and those disappear. So now we're going to work on creating our terrain. So I'm going to go up to the terrain pull down menu. I'm going to click on elevation and get an elevation line. And I'm going to draw the following shapes of elevation lines. Okay, so I created these angles up here in the top left corner, 3 angled lines across the top, kind of this funky shape here, and then straight one down at the bottom. So create those elevation lines, and then now we're going to give them some actual height, some elevation. So we're going to take and double click, so get your arrow key. We're going to double click on the edges or the lines, the elevation lines that we put in, and we're going to change the elevations. Now all of these are going to be in inches, so you don't have to put any symbols, you just have to put the numbers. So I'm going to start with 120 for this one here. Okay. This one here is going to be 96. Okay. This next one, we're slowly going downhill here. This one's going to be 84. This next one is going to be 72. And this last one is going to be 48. Okay. The one down below the house here is going to be a negative number. We're going to go negative 24. And this last one is going to be a negative 48. So negative 48. Okay. So let's see how this changes the shape of our contouring of our property. When we take a look at the perspective full overview, you'll see that we now have this hill that slopes from the highest point in the back left corner down to the front where it's down to a negative number down here. Now it looks nice, but look what it did to our house. If we zoom in on the back porch, you'll see that our patio has taken on some grass. So we're going to have to fix that now. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to put a retaining wall around the back of this house. Notice that also when I changed the elevation, it put my deck stairs up on the second floor. So we'll have to put those back. So let's go back to the first floor. You can see the contour lines now. The computer has generated some contour lines to show you what the property looks like. We're going to put that retaining wall right back here. Now we have to be careful not to hit the elevation lines with our retaining wall. Remember, I've got an elevation line here and here, and I've got these angled ones here and here. So I'm going to make my retaining wall just shy of these angled lines. For the retaining wall, I'm going to go to terrain, walls and curves, and I'm going to get a curved retaining wall. I'm simply going to make kind of an arc right about here, just click and drag an arc. Okay. And what I'm going to do with that arc, I'm going to get my arrow key, I'm going to click on it, and notice it gives you handles, and it gives you handles on the sides of, and you can continue around this center point right here. I click on it again, you can see that it gives me a center point of the circle and the edges. I want to use this center point actually, because I want 1/4 of a circle is all I want. So I'm going to grab this handle, drag it back until my vertical extension line is in line with this center point. So these 2 points are now aligned. I'm going to grab this handle and I'm going to drag it up until my center line is also in line with the center of the circle. So because I now have my vertical line up here, my horizontal line up there, I have exactly a 1/4 of a circle in my retaining wall. So then I'm going to go back to terrain, walls and curves, get a straight retaining wall, and I'm going to attach it to this wall here, drag it out. I'm going to drag it almost to the end of the building here, and do the same thing going down, click and drag, and I'm going to drag it down near the beginning of the building, or down near the bottom of the building down here. So let's take a look at what that does to our perspective full overview. So, okay, it did a little bit, not much though. Notice that I still got issues, but it did hold back some of the property. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change the elevation inside the retaining wall so that we have a full a flat piece of land that our house is on. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go back to the terrain pull down menu. I'm going to go back to elevation data and get another elevation line. I'm simply going to, inside the retaining wall, I'm going to go click and drag. Click and drag. I'm going to click here, click and drag down. So underneath the front steps. Click and drag under the front steps here. And then I'm going to go back up, click and drag to my original location. So I kind of made this box all the way around. I'm going to get my arrow key now, double click on it, and I'm going to set the elevation at 0. So if you remember, all of these were positive numbers. All of the elevation lines up here were positive. These 2 down here were negative. So if I set this at 0, that's going to be right in the middle. Let's take a look at our perspective full overview now, and you'll see that looks much better. I still have an opening in my top floor deck. We'll have to fix that. Notice that it looks much better with our little property now. Good. Let's go back to our floor plan. Let's go up to our second floor by clicking on this button. Let me just click on this doorway here. Delete that, hit the delete key, and now we're back to where we want to be. Good. Back on the first floor. Okay, so we have our contoured property. Now I'm going to show you how to put in a lake and a beach. Go to the terrain pull down menu. I'm going to go down to feature, and I'm going to get a spline feature. To make a click and drag kind of an oval like that. And actually, I'm going to do another one. Click and drag. I've got two, and this outside one is going to be my sand or the beach, and the inside one is going to be the water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my arrow key, click on the one that's going to be the sand. I'm going to double click this. I'm going to set the height of my sand at 0. Actually, height at 0. I'm now going to go to materials, click on material, the terrain feature, and notice it default is cement, concrete. I don't want that. And select materials. Scroll down to landscaping and roadways. Click on that little arrow in front of it. And I'm going to go to sand and soil. I want this nice golden sand here. Click on that. Click OK. I look at our perspective full overview. See that I have a strip of sand now. But the sand has got concrete as the water. So we need to go back to our floor plan. We'll click on the inner circle or the inner piece. We're going to leave the height at 1, but I'm going to change the material. Terrain features, select material. And scroll down to that same landscaping. Roadways. This time I'm going to water. I'm going to click on the water. Choose which water you like and choose the middle one. Click OK. And see what that looks like. All right, there you go. Now, when we print this thing, we're going to be printing at an angle kind of like this, where we can see the water and the beach in the foreground, and we've got the house right in the middle of our page. What I want to do is along the back edge, I want you to create a bunch of trees. All right, so under architecture, under plants right here, you can go to trees, deciduous trees. These are leaf-bearing trees, evergreens. These are pine trees. I just want you to put a plethora of trees in the background. So what that would look like here is it would all be back in this area, back behind the retaining wall. I just want you to find a bunch of different styles of trees and put in different size trees. Big trees, small trees, and I'll show you even by just putting in one set of trees, you can see from this view, it makes a difference in the background. Okay, so find several different types of trees, put them in the background so that we have something behind the house to make it look good. In front of the house now, we're going to create a flower bed that goes all the way around our house. To do that, you're going to go terrain, feature, rectangular feature. And I'm going to use the roofing of my house kind of as a guideline for where this flower bed is going to be located. So you can see the dotted green line for the roof. Like I said, I'm going to use that as my guideline for this flower bed. I'm going to start in this back corner. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag out this rectangular feature all the way over to the roof here, and then down to the roof, down here. Actually, my two features, this one here is so I'm actually going to grab that. So I don't want it to get confused with flower bed. So let's see what I've done so far. I've created the cement flower bed. So I'm going to change the cement, and I'm going to change the shape of the flower bed to contour my house. So let me double click on it. Change it to the materials. terrain feature, select materials, back down to the landscaping. This I'm going bark and mulch. And let's see what colors of bark we have. These are the styles of bark. These are the colors of mulch. Recycled mulch. I'm going to go mulch. Maybe get it a weathered mulch color. Okay, so that. Oh, that's okay. And now I'm going to change the shape of it to match the shape of my house. So highlight it first. When you highlight, you'll notice you get this whole row down here at the bottom of different options to use. Right here, kind of in the middle, is a break line option. I'm going to click on that break line option. And just a little bit to the right of this wall right here, I'm going to click on the edge of my terrain. I'm going to grab this middle handle and I'm going to shrink this part of it. Notice I broke it here and I was able to shrink this down. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go to break. Here's click. And grab this little handle and bring this back. Again, break. Click. This section. Break. Here. This section. Break. Almost. I've got a little issue with my stair steps in my deck here, so I'm going to go break two more times. Break. I'm going to go even with the middle of this step. I'm just going to go straight out. Click. I'm going to do that one more time. Break. Straight out. Then I'm going to grab the tip of this and pull it underneath the step. Escape. Slip. Yeah, that was much nicer. So now we have this flower bed that goes around our house. And I would like you to plant some flowers. So we plant some flowers that look good, some bulbs, whatever it is you choose. And I'll go on the floor plan. It's usually easier to put them in from the floor plan. Actually, I want them to be bigger than that. So I'm actually going to click on that. Yeah. You don't want to be inside the house. You have to check where you put it. See what it looks like. That's the view. Oh, that's great. Now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to click on it. Right mouse click on it. Go copy paste. But then down in the left hand corner, this thumbtack, I'm going to click on it, which will give me a multiple copy. I'm going to put a copy here. Okay, so I'm going to put in several of those. Then I'm going to put in some different, a different color. See what that looks like. All right, so purple and pink. Put in a few more of these. Not too bad. So that is the terrain that we're going to put in. And one last step, I want you to put in some steps that go, not steps, but a path that leads down to the water. Do that. I'm going to move my living area label. Just gonna move it here. I don't know, terrain, stepping stones. Make one. Then I'm going to copy. Actually, I'm going to make them. Let me change the appearance of this thing. Materials. I don't want to cement. Actually, know what I want? Actually, we're going to go perspective full overview. I want it to match my steps. So I'm going to go with my eyedropper. I'm going to suck up some of the material from my steps. And I'm going to spray it on the stepping stone. So let's go back up to our floor plan. Click on. Click on the stepping stone and right mouse click on it. Copy paste. Click on the thumbtack down here at the bottom left hand corner. Full overview. That is the look that we're